Welcome back to class. We are simulating vector autoregressive processes, and we are in part B, which implies that now we would like to look what happens if an inflation shock affects the system of two equations. So we are proceeding in the same way as in scenario A, but now we are assuming that a single inflation shock occurs in period t. We once more are normalizing this shock to the value of 1. I'll switch to Excel in order to simulate this process. So in a first step, I copy-paste scenario A to a new worksheet. And then it will be the case that I'm just exchanging the shocks. So I'm assuming that there is no GDP shock at all, but that there is an inflation shock. And now once more, like I will graph the time series. So the first one, this is the GDP series. So I'm inserting like a line diagram, and this is like the GDP series. We can call it like response of GDP to like inflation innovations. So let's use this label here. Response of GDP to inflation innovations. And then like the second diagram, this will be the inflation series. So also insert a line diagram like the first one. And then I'll also put like a label to this diagram, which is like the inflation time series due to like an inflation innovation, an inflation shock. So let's change this title here. Okay, let's analyze this graph first. Like, of course, in t-3, t-2, t-1, inflation is at the equilibrium value of 0. Then the shock occurs, the shock is normalized to 1. And then it will be the case that after like one period, the inflation rate will be at like 0.5 because of the fact that this coefficient here is equal to 0.5. With respect to the GDP time series, due to an inflation shock, GDP does not react in period t because the shock occurs at the inflation rate, and then the inflation rate in t is equal to 1. And this implies that in the next period, GDP will be affected like here by 0.2 units, which you can see here. In period t+1, GDP growth rate is at 0.2, and then like GDP increases over time, and only after period t+3, like the growth rate of GDP is decreasing again back to an equilibrium. So like when we are done with scenario A, it's very easy to also simulate scenario B. So thank you very much for also like watching this part of the lecture. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.